I know a little bit about substance abuse and things like that, and I know that particularly here in Mount Isa that we have a very big drug problem that sometimes is underseen about the why people are doing what they're doing, and in particularly the use of drugs or illicit drugs and substance abuse, whether it's alcohol, whether it's marijuana, K2 or ice. Ice is a big thing that's come to our community as well.
Well, a lot of our families do experience the challenge of alcohol. I deal with it personally, and all the signs are there, the lies, the impacts on your families, the impacts on your work. Nothing else matters. You know, people do say, I want to help myself, but then I guess it's something inside of them that triggers, and I don't know what that is because I'm not an addict, so, you know, but it's very hurtful, it's high maintenance, dealing with people that you know, that you love and you're trying to help and all these types of things. You can see the hurt that it's having on families and children.
When you're actually talking about substance misuse, like a lot of people will think of themselves personally and like what type of drugs or whatever or the substance has most affected their family. So like for me, it's the hard drugs, it's the alcohol and stuff like that. But like for some other families, when you're talking substance abuse, well, it may be the sniffing and the chroming.
He's a totally different person when he was on it.
The majority of suicides in young people happen due to having taken some sort of drugs or alcohol before it actually happened. And what they normally wouldn't have the courage to do because of the drug use, it gives them that empowerment, and they have the strength to go through something they wouldn't normally do.
Some people, they look for a hit from ice or whack it up their arm.
Yep.
Just to be awake for 2 days straight.
2 days straight. I don't know how they can handle that.
They even go out when they got nothing, and people sell themselves while they do it, when they got no money to have for the drugs or something like that, you know, and because they think no one loves them, they just go and do disgusting things to themselves.
And just got to the point where I just would hate going home. Just wouldn't want. I would do any other excuse just to not go home. Like at school, I try to stay at school longer, but the teachers, they just get nosy in that. And like if something went wrong at home, they just want to get child services involved, and that's just too messy. So then I just wouldn't go to class, wouldn't talk to people, just easier, because it just causes trouble for everyone. Yeah, and I started hanging around with the wrong crowd, trouble with the cops a couple of times, drinking, partying, using pot. It was right at the start, you know, thought I was cool. Nah.
Well, we got 10-year-olds here getting drunk, smoking marijuana, the whole lot. Probably had a shot or two now too of a bit of speed or whatever.
Most families understand the traditional addictions, and that things like alcohol use, yandi, cigarettes, what that looks like, how to respond to it, and feel that they have coping skills that can address those issues within a family.
It could be a new situation for people, so you know, it's something they've never had to deal with. So you know, how do you cope with that, or how do you support people when you haven't you know, dealt with that sort of situation before? There might be someone going off, or you know, someone coming down from the drug, or you know, those kind of things. So you know, or supporting someone going through withdrawal symptoms.
Soak their body.
Just soak their whole body with water, cold water.
So they could feel the
coldness.
Because when they high
out of it,
they can't feel anything. They're just so hot, and their body just like they have
overheated.
They make themselves panic even more when they feel their heart race.
Yeah.
So you try, you give them water, you make them scald a lot of water, and then if they're still in the little zone, you just tip the water all over them, just start hosing them down.
But sometimes if you drink the water cold when you're on the K2, you'll be vomiting.
It's so cheap. There was one, I don't know whether it was that synthetic one, was $15 or something. You know, they'll go and buy that. and then they'll be smoking cigarettes on top of it, drinking alcohol, you know, and when they mix it, they think they're 10 foot tall and bulletproof, and then they'll go towards, they'll think about committing suicide. You know, if not that, then they'll go and fight somebody. Want to fight.
I've come across all your different social issues. So where there's crime, abuse, domestic violence, you know, all of this because of a substance misuse or abuse. Yeah, and how it's affected. Like myself and my family is we've dealt with suicide because, you know, some people couldn't handle it to, you know, their addiction. We've dealt with family being incarcerated.
We've worked in the community, worked in many different areas with young people, families, children in our roles, and you can see the effects. And, you know, I understand that too, that different families are made up of different sort of beliefs and values as well, and some of our kids are actually, you know, really hitting it hard and in very traumatic situations.
I went downhill. I lost my home, my children. I got a DVO put on me. I was destructive mode. Anywhere I went, I just skitzed, blitzed.
You got to understand the real issues and where people are coming from, then we might have a chance.
When I was younger, I started to smoke weed. Turning 17, 18, I started to do heavier stuff, which was ice, pills, you know, whatever you name it, I used to do. I had everything at my feet, and then slowly my world come crumbling down. I lost my jobs, I lost, well, my family, so I thought, but I think it was all in my head, no. I lost my friends, and most of all, I lost myself and who I was.
Support services don't fully understand the issues, the deeper issues, and why kids get into taking drugs, why there is a need for kids to feel they've got to be a part of this scene. And a lot of it stems back to colonisation, of course, we all know that. It's created terrible unresolved trauma, and that's in the adults as well as the children. So if the adults are suffering, how can they help the young people?
Like for little kids, they don't know what's going on, so they get scared. And the parents, like, they go all out crazy and think that something's wrong, and then try to help, and then something really bad goes wrong.
Our children today have grown up in this white society where there's no culture with it. So they don't know who they are. You can ask the children what tribe they come, what's this? And it means nothing to them because they don't know. So the children that really know who they are, they don't end up like these kids. We don't have anybody in the town to really take our children back to country where they belong and walk the talk with them, you know. We got to go to the LORE, not the LAW, because the LORE will tell us and show us who we are. Because while we're on land, we have our spirits guiding us. But while we're here in town, we have nobody. We just have the ice, the drugs, the alcohol, and that'll just take us. But the more we connected to country and land, the more the children will look for and want it and want to be there. But while we're in town, we're nobody.
Ended up getting reported to Child Services one time, and they were just going to take me away from everything, and they asked me, oh, if it's that bad, we'll just take you to, I think it's at a safe house where they just there and no one comes see you. And I just thought, why, how would that make it better? Like, that's not going to change anything. Like, there's nothing. What was that gonna do? Put me by myself, make me get crazy.
Her little niece, she got taken into care at the age of 12. She reported to people that she was molested and stuff like that. She hung herself.
The parents have to be supported and go through certain training to understand the situation we're in, where there's drugs all around, there's all sorts of temptations. And, you know, sure, kids are going to try and have a go at this or have a go at that, but if they've got a solid foundation where there's a good home, parents who really care, and I'm sure there are parents out there who really care, it's just they don't have the tools to be able to support the children better.
Let them walk the streets half of the night, go back home, pissed out of their head, stoned, you know, or going off from a fight.
Start family fights.
Yeah, can't even.
Little underage kids on alcohol.
Getting drunk, high.
Starting fucking family fights.
Drunken siblings that actually walk into the household middle of the night and all that type of stuff. You know, Nana's got to be up with the kids. Then you've got the fighting between the families and the fighting between the partners. And then, Nana's got to cater for the babies and, you know, taking them to hospital, but also working jobs.
Quite difficult because the thing is with families is that like you've got either mums or, you know, grandmas or granddads or people in your family that don't really understand, you know, what you're going through or what that person's going through in terms of the, you know, the addiction and some of the things that they might be going through.
You feel like you can't swallow and you can't feel your tongue.
Can't eat or anything.
And like when you drink something, you just spew it back up again.
Just get the nap and everything.
That's like
that's
like
what Cut2 and weed, and that's what drugs can do to you.
Yeah.
Really, it comes down to the right support surrounding families and there for families. And what does that look like? I think it's having people available to listen, to have the skills and experience to work successfully with families and users around how they might minimise harm to themselves and to their family members.
I've worked in communities where petrol sniffing was knocked out by introducing low aromatic fuel and just not having it available. It made a huge difference. And why this is important is you need to make a break in behaviour, you need to be able to remove the intoxicant so that the kids have got a chance to be straight before you can even begin to have a conversation.
Why don't we have a safe home here where we can be working with those kids, doing something with them, getting them back to country, taking the parents with them and do things with the parents so the parents got a good understanding of their children too. Because what you're doing then, you're building both together, you're fixing both together. That kid's going to come back and love mum and dad more, you know, because if they're doing things together today, we're not doing it. I don't want mum to come, I don't want dad to come because they're 6 foot tall and bulletproof. But if we take mum and dad and build them as a family, because that kid still, we fix that kid, he's still going to go back home. Mum and dad's not fixed ready for him. So we need mum and dad ready for them when they're ready too.
They isolate this person, they're going to fix them, but they leave the rest of the family out. So mum, dad, uncle, aunt, all the significant others have no idea what's going on. So we're building these people up with this knowledge about what's happening to their body, to their mind, to their souls. But then when they go home, they're going straight back into the same place.
What doesn't work is we're too top heavy clinically. I feel it's really important to acknowledge that, you know, we've got too many workers in that space of acute care and clinical care, and we need more community workers. We need soldiers on the ground.
The behaviours that might happen at early hours in the morning for families and what to do.
Because it's most likely to happen at night time than daytime.
There's even a night patrol or something, using some of the kids' parents so they know what they can see what their children are doing. A lot of our great-grandparents out there don't know what ice is. Well, I don't know what ice, I heard it, I don't know what it looked like, I haven't seen it. And I don't like the sound of it because, well, one year here we had about, 30 kids hang themselves. You know, so, and we're not getting to those children. We're not even getting to those kids' mums and dads. You know, they're still left behind here.
A lot of services have gone around in circles, so either a lot of people in the past said, well, let's have an Indigenous group to help them with it, then that might have failed or excelled at certain parts, and then it was like, okay, well, let's get this other group to work with it. And then, you know, it's all come back full circle. So that's the $1 million question, is like, who's going to deliver it and who's going to actually get the outcomes.
Don't institutionalise them, don't send them down to get them back out on country where they can connect, because there's two things that are very important to Aboriginal people overall, and our youth wouldn't be no different. Identity and connection. Who they are, where they come from, what they connect with.
Connecting to country and healing, and not one program in Mount Isa is actually doing that here, and that's something very strongly I would advocate for, because for a long time we've been looking at on country, you know, taking them back with elders and with family, because one of the things that they forget about is if they send them to rehab, that they're only sending that person as an individual.
The services that are there on the ground, they're not culturally appropriate to look after our own mob that are already in that system, you know, with the others, you know. So we've got to try and rescue our own and try and rehabilitate our own through other healing alternative therapies, you know, back home in the bush.
A lot of good things can happen on country, but unfortunately a lot of these families haven't grown up and haven't gone on country.
I guess it's about you know, sharing that information so family members know how they can best support their family members, you know, who are struggling with drugs and alcohol.
Understand people, understand the real issues, what's going on in their mind and their heart. Not just their mind, but their heart. How do they feel?
We've sent many young people away from our community to drug and alcohol rehabilitation services. They last, you know, 2 or 3 days maximum, and they choose not to want to engage. So they abscond, or we can't find them, or they come back into our community, you know. So we really need a space here that we can work with them as community and wrap around the family supports for them, you know. And we really do need a rehabilitation service that's culturally appropriate, that's out in the sticks, and that's, you know, all about getting them involved in that and getting their families involved in that, you know, and having those hard yarns and being able to provide an opportunity and space that when the person's ready, you know, reintegrate them back into family space. But monitor that and support that and make sure that everyone's going well, and have those really good, robust conversations. And how are you going? Well, these are the things that we've found from feedback from your family, feedback from you. How can we support you further in that space, you know? Until we come to a point in our journey with this young person or family to know that they're on their 2 feet. They're now right to go.